Yeah, well, you can often get them for free at construction sites and things like that where people are getting rid of them. I often find them in hard rubbish, or people donate them as well for us to use, so I might just extend this hole as well. What else? Yeah, I wouldn't recommend going out and buying them, just because it's kind of unnecessary. The aim of this design is that it's going to last a long time. It's not going to need any maintenance, and also you don't have to actually support any plastic industry as well. So it just means that it's a lower impact. You can also build these out of wood as well, if no PVC pipe's available. Okay. The cap would fit on, but that we wouldn't end up with a very, very large entrance hole. They like quite a tight fit. It means that animals bigger than them aren't going to fit in. So that's often the case for animals that use hollows, is they'll use the smallest possible hole that they can fit through. Now we'll just grab a bit of this. So, measure it up. You can hear a long-billed corella in the gardens there. It's interesting, they don't come here very often. And that screeching noise above us is a rainbow lorikeet, which is also a hollow-dependent parrot. Been very successful at recolonising Melbourne in the last sort of 30 years, actually. And so successful, in fact, that they're starting to force out other native parrots in some cases. You can use either. I thought I'd just bring the carpet out just to illustrate that. But it's possible that the carpet gives slightly better insulation. It seems fairly likely to me. But yeah, you can use either, because the bats will use different kinds of hollows in different conditions. They're pretty clever like that. So it may be that at times they prefer this kind of arrangement. So it's been found that a particular species of bat, which we get here called the lesser long-eared bat, actually the males during the summertime quite like roosting behind peeling bark, and this kind of nest box sort of simulates that situation where they're roosting in a very thin-walled kind of arrangement, and possibly the reason that they do that is because they're such small animals and yet they're warm-blooded. They're kind of at the mercy of their surroundings, you know. So they don't have all that much control over their temperature, even though they are warm-blooded, just because of their size. They're kind of vulnerable to changes in temperature. And during the day, when they're not out hunting and that sort of thing, they prefer not to use too much energy, so they'll go into a kind of short-term hibernation called torpor. But to be able to do that, it has to be below a certain temperature. So if they can find a situation where the temperature is going to be nice and low for them, then they'll often use that, which kind of seems paradoxical, but that's what they like. So often these lesser long-eared bats that are roosting behind peeling bark will choose the northwestern side of a tree, and that's so that they don't get any sun until the very last part of the day, when it's time for them to heat up and go out hunting. So with this sort of nest box, it might be useful to try and simulate that and actually place it on the northwestern side of the tree. Yeah. Just having a bit of trouble with the fly wire. A bit fiddly this bit, but we'll get over it. It's just because of the way it's been packed up. So I'll see if I roll it the other way, whether that might work. That might be a bit better. Yep, that's working. Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. So the PVC pipe is supposed to last 80 years, and 80 years out of the ground, and I'm not sure exactly what that means, what it would look like in 80 years' time. It's hard to imagine, but your typical sort of plywood nest box, mine are starting to last a little bit better, longer as I build them better, but they usually last about 10 years, so this is a huge improvement on that. And there's a special way of installation as well that increases that lifespan quite well. So as you can see, it uses pretty simple tools, and it doesn't have to be all that precise, so anyone can do it. We often build these with young kids in primary schools and things like that, so it's a good design for that reason. And there's another thing, actually, another aspect that I've changed about typical bat boxes, and that is that usually in traditional style boxes for bats, they'll have a removable roof, which you pull off to inspect what's going on inside. And I found the first times that I used that method, the bats were often quite disturbed, and they'd rush down to the bottom of the box and sometimes even fly away. So what I do now